Hello, and thank you for joining us. Today we have before you in studio Pat Almada, the mayor of Brownsville, Texas, which lies just across the Rio Grande, joined at the Rio Grande by Matamoros, Tamaulipas, Mexico, and in the field, Gene Belmares, who's a city councilman between Laredo and Nuevo Laredo called Los Dos Laredos. Also Congressman Henry Cuellar in Laredo at the Laredo Country Club. That's also in the field. That'll be joining us later on in the program. Economic Security Zones on the Rio Grande. That's the title of our program. Pat Almada, Mayor of Brownsville, Gene Belmares, City Councilman Laredo, going to engage you and I in discussing that topic. And this is kind of how it works. Someday on the Rio Grande River, it will once again be the focal point. Ojalá, as they say at the border. Again, the attraction, the economic engine that it was for generations. Someday, the Rio Grande River, where the United States, los Estados Unidos, and Mexico, Los Estados Unidos de Mexico, are joined, no longer be seen as an insecure area with smuggling and violence and all of that kind of bad kind of circumstance, but in reality a vibrant and tranquil area that it once was for many, many years and many, many decades. Are we dreaming? Are we kidding ourselves, pinch ourselves? Because I don't think so. I don't think the mayor here in the studio with us today thinks so either. He thinks it's a possibility, and so do I. Hope you will feel the same way after watching our program today. Just like President Franklin D. Roosevelt's Works Progress Administration, called finally the WPA, kicked off the world-famous Riverwalk in San Antonio in 1939, President Barack Obama's stimulus package in 2009, 70 years later now, may not only bring jobs, but also may ultimately create what I call an economic security zone at Brownsville, Laredo, and El Paso. Possibility?
Most definitely, Ron, and thank you for having me on the show, and thank you for your audience that listens to us. I think this is a very vital economic engine for the southwest border region. Building this weird dam, which is called...
And when you say the engine, we're talking about real projects that have not, this is not just off the wall. These are projects that have been in the works for a long time, not only in your community between Brownsville and Matamoros, but also with the River Vega project in Laredo, between Laredo and Nuevo Laredo.
The Brownsville-Matamoros weir has been in the making for 29 years.
Which is the major component of that project. You've got to have the weir to elevate your water level between the two international cities from about 6-8 feet depth, some cases where you can walk across, 3 to 4 feet in depth. That's why there's such an insecure situation. Up to 28 feet elevation. Same thing, lo mismo cosa in Laredo, because the weir dam there would do the same, create actually a lake between the two communities, just like with yours.
It'll build a reservoir, most definitely. The average depth is 12 feet, except during extreme cases of drought, where you can walk across almost. But the average depth is 12 feet. It'll go up to 26 feet. It'll widen the river to about 300 feet. It'll back it up for 42 river miles. And it'll increase the water reservoirs for the city of Brownsville from 25 days to 45 days. It'll increase Matamoros Reservoir from 2 to 3 days to 15 to 25 days So I think
other than the economic stimulus of actually having a river walk like San Antonio at some point in time, the immediate benefits is going to be once the dam is completed, water which would be going out to the Gulf of Mexico would be lost to the Gulf of Mexico, would create a lake, and subsequently, therefore, obviously, just like the Town Lake and all the lakes in Austin along the Colorado, you would have water resources taking Matamoros from 2 days water supply, which has got to be scary for them, up to 25 days capacity, and your community up to how many days?
45 days.
45 days. That's got to be a fantastic economic stability circumstance, because all maquilas, all people who want to locate plants and economic engines to your region, they're going to go, tell them about your water supply.
Most definitely, and that's the key right there, that it'll be the economic engine because it'll offer the water needed to 2050 for our growth and to big industry. But not only is a water supply, but it'll also serve as a binational tourist corridor where both communities on both sides of the river can build a river walk similar to San Antonio, with the exception that San Antonio has to drain its river walk and clean it once a year. This is
but they make it into a mud festival. That's something negative to do. No, Call it a festival. Everybody come down.
Brownsville's better.
I mean, that's great marketing.
This is a live river. This is a mighty Rio Grande River that will be restored. The Rio Bravo that will be restored to what it was once before.
Okay. Now we do want to bring in Gene Belmontes, who is a city councilman in the city of Laredo, and here's what he had to say about creating an economic security zone between Laredo and Nuevo Laredo.
What you're seeing is a Rio Grande. You can see how shallow it is. There's a certain area of it where you will have to do a quick swim, and then you can run towards this edge. By expanding the distance and keeping a constant level, raising the depth of the river in this area, you will have additional time to intersect anyone who's crossing. So you accomplish the homeland security piece. But what you also do for us in the city of Laredo is you create this economic driver by creating a true river walk, a natural river walk, unlike what's been created elsewhere.
Like in San Antonio, the San Antonio River Walk.
This would be a natural
economic security zone.
It's an economic security zone. Not only do you accomplish the security piece, but you accomplish the economic development piece. Those are the things that the city of Laredo is working on. There are certain components of it that are already funded, under construction, but there are pieces that need to be done. Federal government needs to step in and help us with those dollars. Rather than spending them on a wall, here's where you can spend them using the natural barriers, God-given barriers of this area, this region, and using those for homeland security and economic development. Plus, it sends a tremendous message to our third largest trading partner to the south, that we welcome their commerce, we welcome their trade, but that we're also going to be protecting our borders and our citizenry.
In addition, while in the city of Laredo, we also talked to Congressman Henry Cuellar, who represents a region from McAllen and the Rio Grande Valley all the way to Laredo, then all the way up to San Antonio, and talking to him about the somewhat insecure circumstance that Laredo, Nuevo Laredo finds itself. He just came back from a visit with the president of Mexico, and here's what he had to say.
What we have in our areas, we have a river that we can turn into it's already a natural boundary, but we can make it more of a boundary because instead of putting up a fence, you can expand the width of the river, and that will allow you, and depending what you put on this side, this will allow you to provide a natural boundary and something that fits in not only for national security or homeland security, but also for economic development, because we want to make sure that both aims, that is the aim of national security and economic development, can work hand in hand in our border area.
The good news, Mayor Almada, is the fact that we are so engaged at this particular point in time, apparently with the Obama administration taking charge now, with Henry Cuellar going to Mexico City. We've got a new Homeland Security Chief, Janet Napolitano, whom you're having communications with. So the focus back on Mexico seems to be happening very quickly in this new administration.
We're planning to meet with Secretary Napolitano's staff in the near future to discuss some of the issues regarding the border region. And what
do you hope to accomplish? Maybe get some of those border wall funds and use it to build the Weir Dam?
Most definitely. I want to be able to focus and have her consider this as an alternative to the border fence, because by legislation it is mandated that alternatives be considered before building a physical barrier as is being proposed. So I think the dam is an excellent alternative. Yes.
We take you now to In the Field and our interview between Laredo and Nuevo Laredo with City Councilman in Laredo, Gene Belmontes, about the aspect of having their Weir Dam built, just like the Weir Dam proposed in Brownsville, between Brownsville and Matamoros, creating a lake between the two communities of Laredo and Nuevo Laredo. And Homeland Security's response time would be cut from 30 seconds, where they've got to be right now on the votes you will see in this clip, to many, many minutes, maybe up to 15 minutes response time.
A Weir Dam, what it does, a Weir project will keep waters at a constant level. Now, once you decide what those levels should be, you build the Weir to that specification, and you have that water back up a certain level, and then it just overtops. The water continually flows, so you don't impede or impact your partners to the south in Rio Grande Valley. They get their fair share of water constantly. We're able to hold back some of the water. It does have some flood control benefits to it as well.
This boat, if it takes them 30 seconds to get to, they got to have a 30-second response time to an illegal. the River Vega project in the town lake would expand that to 15 minutes. That's got to be a win-win for the security of the United States and also for the security of right here at Laredo, between Laredo and Nuevo Laredo.
The rest of the nation has a concern with border security, and we recognize that.
That's why they say build a fence, build a wall, we don't care, but stop them.
That's correct, and that's what they want. But what we want and what we need to do is, one, use the natural barriers to accomplish that and not build a wall. Secondly, we need to create economic development with our third largest trading partner to the south, Mexico. So much of our retail commerce comes from our partners in the south, our sister cities, our sister country. So being able to do both things, accomplishing what those folks in Iowa and Nebraska and Illinois want, using a natural barrier, and at the same time sending a strong message to our trading partner of the South that we welcome their commerce by creating these economic development opportunities along the border, not just here in Laredo, but what Mayor Pat Ahumada is trying to do in Brownsville, is the right message. It's a local solution to a national problem, and I think that we've crafted the best solution for what is a sorely needed resolution to homeland security.
Now, Mayor Ahumada, Gene Belmontes, Laredo City Councilman, made a very good point of the fact that we're creating a nice, beautiful lake, just like Town Lake, Ladybird Lake, and Austin on the Colorado, would create a situation where the response time that the Border Patrol would have, that they need to focus on intimately every day when they're patrolling their border, their river, there at Laredo, between Laredo and Nuevo Laredo, would be cut to would add 15 minutes where they've got a 30-second response time now, because they can almost walk across that river. It's very, 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 very shallow.
Well, here the idea is to not only build a weir and back up the water and widen up the river to deter illegal activity, is to install surveillance equipment, sophisticated surveillance equipment along the northern perimeter, along with boots on the ground, that I think would be less costly, more effective, and I think will serve the purpose of the wall in a better way that will develop commerce and tourism and better relations with Mexico. And I think that's what we should be all about. We shouldn't be building walls that do not work. We could use that money and put it to better use, especially during tough times like we're facing right now, to create jobs. And I think the weir will create thousands of jobs if you take into account all the benefits that the weir offers. Now, Brownsville is a leading community with this project. It has all the permits. It already has $18 million of funding. I submitted it to be part of the stimulus package because I firmly believe that it'll create thousands and thousands of jobs, not because of the water supply only, but because we can have a dual binational river walk like San Antonio on both sides of the river, and that will be unique as compared to anywhere in the world.
So you've got the current sitting president of the United States is already pretty well engaged in what you're saying, and that if he really prefers to use the natural barrier, the Rio Grande River, maybe virtual barriers like technology and that sort of thing, as opposed to building walls between our two nations.
And I think he's on the right track, and I think it's reaffirmed with this appointment of the Secretary of Homeland Security, former Governor Neapolitano.
Coming from Arizona.
Knowing the border and the issues that it faces, not only with just the security, but other border issues, which I think can only be favorable to us here in the Southwest Border region. So I think the President is on the right track, and hopefully by us going to Washington, meeting with the Secretary of Homeland Security, it'll open up that dialogue to where it'll be considered as a good alternative, and reassess the current policy to where this will be considered as a virtual fence, because it will also allow it to be patrolled with high-speed boats and maintain the security. So I think the response time will be cut down, to a minimum, with patrol boats, security, sophisticated sensors, and boots on the ground, and the water being wider, the river being wider and deeper, the currents being stronger. I think that in itself will deter illegal activity and bring it down to almost nothing.
City Councilman Gene Belmontes Laredo in the field tells us why he thinks it would be good to have their weir dam constructed, just like in Brownsville, because it would improve the natural barrier, the Rio Grande River.
Using the natural barrier, expanding the width
the Rio Grande River.
expanding the width of the Rio Grande River, creating this town lake, so to speak, the Laredo Town Lake. Not only do you have the expansion and the constant level of the lake or the river, but you also have...
Created by your Weir Dam project as part of the River Vega.
Correct. Created by the Weir project. You also have the security piece. So now it's no longer a rush to get here, but you can interdict because you've got so much time to get the smugglers, whether they're smuggling arms, drugs, or people, get to them faster because you have so much more time to interdict them while they're still in the water.
Now, the city councilman in Laredo on the banks of the Rio Grande River now describes the River Vega project with their very impressive 3D rendering of the architectural plans for that project.
So where we are now would more than likely be underwater. This park would be relocated over to the east side of bridge number 1, and then we'll build again some type of a retaining wall, bring the water up to the retaining wall, and then you have this natural river walk look to it, and then shops, cafes, and other retail and commercial establishments could be built on the River Vega behind us.
On the screen now is the River Vega project video presentation. What is the audience seeing?
What they're seeing is the conceptual design of the River Vega master plan, which encompasses retail, hotel property, the expansion of the river areas between Nuevo Laredo and Laredo. You're getting a bird's eye view of what the retail complex would look like, and again the parking structures and all the economic activity that comes through those buildings that you're seeing on the screen right now.
So an economic international zone between two countries, similar to the San Antonio Riverwalk, but really in fact being an international security zone between Laredo and Nuevo Laredo.
Yes, of course. And again, it's an encouragement to our partners in the South. We believe that once this project is built out or under construction, that our partners to the South will do the same. Again, eliminating some of the security concerns we have, and also enhancing our economic project on this side, because they would build something similar on their side, and then you would have this binational economic security zone.
Now, from what I understand from the previous program, which we did with George Ramirez, who's on the Imagine Brownsville project, a co-chairman, and also very involved with trying to upgrade and improve the downtown area of your community, Brownsville, told us that the project is really pretty well being pushed along by the citizenry. How engaged is the city of Brownsville in trying to push the redevelopment of the river itself? Adequate in your opinion?
No, I don't think so.
Is that why you submitted it to the President of the United States as part of the stimulus package request on the last day, because really the city was dropping the ball, from what I've been told?
Well, Ron,
city was dropping the ball. The other councilmen weren't doing what they needed to do. Why did you?
I drafted a list of projects to be introduced for consideration and funding by the state and federal government. On the day of the deadline to submit stimulus projects for consideration, the city had submitted 0. Found out about noon. And so I scrambled, and with the help of Ben Medina in the planning department, I instructed him to submit certain projects. We could only submit so many, which was the gym for the low-income area, some road improvements and new roads infrastructure, and the Weir project, which is my priority, because I've had this dream for 18 years.
Are you have the opinion that having those priority lists of things on that wish list, you might have more of an opportunity and hope of getting those permitted rather than throwing everything on the wall? Like
I believe so. I believe so. We prioritize the immediate, because remember, these got to be shovel-ready projects. That means they should be built by the end of the year 2010 and create jobs. And I think all 3 projects meet that criteria. And this is very important to me. This project is very important to me because I want to preserve our ecological corridor. And I want to develop a tourism corridor to where it'll capitalize on the historic sites and our culture here and our border, unique to the world. And I also want to provide an alternative to the security of this country with this virtual fencing using the geography of the Rio Grande River. That's why it's important to me.
In Laredo, Gene Belmontes, councilman, shows you and I how access off I-35 is going to be happening into their project on the river.
We're building a down ramp that takes you straight down off of I-35 down into the River Vega project, and will eventually look for funding to take the flyway back up out of the River Vega project.
And in Brownsville, you're going to be the same, working with TxDOT to make sure you've got good access into your river project?
Well, we have Highway US 7783, the East Loop, University Boulevard, San Pearl, and right downtown, just like San Antonio.
So the exit right now, UTV-TSC, comes right off your interstate.
Right there.
Right down into your river project, so you basically got it all done.
Oh, yes, sir.
So the main thing you need to say is you want your citizenry to get behind you and push this project through to completion sooner rather than later. Is that what I understand?
You got it, Ron. I think we all should be united in this project because it serves three purposes: a river walk, it protects our ecological corridor, and it serves as virtual fencing. And instead of building a wall, we could use this as an alternative and political solution to the proposed wall that we have so far been successful in preventing from being built in Cameron County. And I think it's been through the efforts of Texas Border Coalition and everybody involved against this proposed wall. And we need to make sure our Secretary Napolitano understands that we do have alternatives. There are choices, not one size fits all, as our chairman for Texas Border Coalition continuously repeats as he gets to meet other leaders who have something to do with this wall.
And having the campaign commitments made by now President Obama does not hurt.
It sure does not. Thank you for having me, Ron.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
Thank you for being with us. And also thank Gene Belmontes, Councilman from the city of Laredo, for being with us, and Henry Cuellar, Congressman McAllen Laredo, for also being on the program. Till next time, adios.